We are cracking open the mailbag today. Hey, is there any remote shot of Keon Coleman coming back to Michigan State? What is the correct way for Michigan State to handle recruiting? And is it just the right parenting call to have your child become a Michigan State fan? Let's find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. That's right, new friend of the program. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege, and when you enter promo code LockedOnCollege, they will throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. I'm showing it to the camera right now, but if you're on the podcast, it is a beautiful, beautiful tumbler. All right, before we get into the mailbag episode today, hey, please rate, review, and subscribe to this here podcast. It's Locked On Spartans. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan. And if you ever want to reach out, lockedonspartans@gmail.com is the best place to find us. All right, we are off and running. It is the mailbag again, lockedonspartans@gmail.com if you ever want to reach out with a question like some of you beautiful people did. And we're going to start it with a player. A certain player that has been the talk of the town for the last few weeks, and maybe not for the reason that us Michigan State fans want it to be, but it's Keon Coleman. And Zach writes in, Matt, any inside scoops on Keon? Saw some murmurs over the weekend, but feel like it can mean anything, right? Now, what Zach is alluding to, on the good old Instagram, he posted on his stories a Spartan Dog for Life post. That's right, SD4L.net. That is part of the collective, so to speak, for MSU athletes, and he quickly deleted it. All right, it was up for like maybe a few minutes and then quickly deleted. Then a few days later, I think it was Sunday, actually, on Mother's Day, he posts again, SD4L, but this one stayed up for quite some time here. And, when the first one happens, all right, this was a scheduled post. He's contractually obligated to do this. He probably didn't even remember that he scheduled it and took it down immediately. But Sunday was different. Sunday, it lingered a little longer. So it could be one of two things here. He's doing the SD4L stuff because, again, NIL, it is not tied to whether or not you play for a college. If this is a one-year contract that you have, let's say it ends in August, whatever, you still have duties that you got to carry out for, well, whoever's paying you for their service. Or option number two, how about this? He's just a college kid and simply forgot that he had a few of these scheduled posts, didn't check his phone for a few hours on Sunday, and forgot to take it down. That's also very plausible, but here is what I know about the Keon Coleman situation. And what I know is, well, a few conflicting reports, but we're going to sift through them anyway. First and foremost, hey, should we expect him to come back? Is there a shot that he comes back? Let's just pose it like that. Is there a chance he comes back? Maybe, but probably not. I would really not get your hopes up, all right? Let's just all try to treat this as a pleasant surprise if this happens. During the day on Tuesday, 24/7 Sports reported that Keon Coleman is actually down to two schools, Florida State and Ole Miss. Those are two schools that he has visited. All right, first it was Florida State, then it was Ole Miss. He had a Texas A&M visit coming up, but has canceled that and has moved up his commitment date a little sooner. So if you want to read the tea leaves there, it's down between those two schools. However, what I do know is that Michigan State is not done communicating just yet. They're not going down without fight, but still, after Keon Coleman visits some southern schools, close to home. He's from Louisiana, so more in his region, and not just southern schools, but teams that are projected to be in the top 20 in the incoming season with strong NIL collectives themselves. And this is after he's been turned down, being poached 3 separate times by schools that aren't Michigan State. Like, this was the 4th chance he did it. If he said no those first 3 times, well, if he's saying yes the 4th time, then odds are he is really set on leaving. That's just the way I read it. But there's not a ton of hope, but the door is not slammed completely shut. That's the best way to put it. They do have some final words they have to say, but yeah, it's going to be tough to beat those teams. So It's a long way of saying that personally, no, the ship has sailed for me. But if you want to be the most optimistic Spartan fan in the world, the door's a little cracked open. Now, with that said, Keon could have committed to being a Seminole or a Rebel by the time you're hearing this. This is all moving very fast as we are recording on Tuesday at 3:03 p.m. for full transparency. And I also want the record to show if he does commit to Ole Miss or Florida State, like, this can't be held against me as a jinx for saying that there is a sliver of hope here. Like, I want to be clear. Don't get your hopes up for Keon Coleman. So that's unfortunately all the intel I have. Now, Jeff writes in lockedonspartans@gmail.com. A longer email, but we're going to try to chop it down here. He says, hey, Matt, feel free to paraphrase this email however you want. I will, Jeff. Thank you. Here's a question. At what point do we, and more importantly, Mel Tucker, accept the reality that Dantonio had the right approach for most of his tenure until he tried in 2016 what Tucker is still trying to do now? Dantonio swung for the fences with recruiting in 2016, which sadly led to his downfall. 7 years later, the program still hasn't recovered, save the Kenneth Walker season. We can only wonder what had happened if Coach D had stuck with what worked from 2009 to 2015, recruiting primarily high character and high motor three-star players who want to play for MSU and aren't being recruited by Ohio State and Alabama. May be time to adopt the Dantonio recruiting strategy with one caveat: continue to recruit nationally. All right, so Dantonio kind of did go back to his ways in 2009, 2015. And that's what kind of got us into the situation right now. I think it's what led to Dantonio's downfall ultimately, is relying a little too heavily on diamond in the rough 3 stars. You know, hey, that's not to say that they didn't work out great for Michigan State in the early days, like Kirk Cousins being a 2-star, Darqueze Dennard a 2-star, Trey Waynes a 3-star, Le'Veon a 2 or 3-star, Jack Conklin just not even ranked in general. But you still had to have 4 stars, 5 stars, like your Aaron Burbridges, like your Malik McDowells, like your William Golstons, your LJ Scotts, to get to the top here. What Dantonio did in those early years was miraculous. I mean, it is very tough to compete at the high level that Michigan State did with 3-star players. Very hard to sustain itself and use that as a winning formula every year. And water kind of found its level those last few years, right? I mean, very, very not great recruiting classes as far as stars go. And that's why Mel Tucker, when he walked in 2020, looked around the room and processed dozens of those kids. He wasn't doing that just because he was bored, just because he wanted to make headlines. Like, no, he had to do that because he saw that room. He saw what he was working with, and he realized this is not a roster that's going to compete in the Big Ten. We do need to get some, guys that are ready to play now, and then recruit eventually the 4-star players. Now, with that said, this isn't just throwing all the blame on Dantonio, especially with everything recently going on with recruiting. The issue last year with Tucker, and look, I was fully on board with shooting for the moon with these 5-star kids, these highly rated 4-star kids. That's what you should do after a Peach Bowl winning season. After all, carry that momentum as far as you can. However, the issue here is that he didn't have those Dantonio guys as plan Bs right off the bat. All those visitors last June, it was pretty much plan A city. 5 stars, 4 stars rated in the top 200, top 300. And when those guys committed to other schools, well, okay, who's in our plan B? We don't have a plan B list. Well, okay, it's getting close to signing day. Let's try to flip some kids that were plan B kids. And what do you mean they're already committed to other schools? Wait, what do you mean this is the first time they're hearing from us 5 minutes before signing day starts? Why didn't we do that over the summer? Well, you tell me. It was too much reliance on the kids rated 1 to 300 and not enough focus on kids rated 301 to 700 per se. So yes, there is a happy medium between what Dantonio did, getting guys that want to play at Michigan State, all that good stuff. And then, well, hey, you also have to have talent from these kids walking in too, because we saw in the last few years of Dantonio, what happens if you don't get those 1 or 2 diamond in the rough 3 stars? It can go south pretty quickly for you here. So I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up in June. Right now, there's 12, if not 13 4-star kids that have pledged an official visit to Michigan State this upcoming year. You're going to need a lot more visitors and a lot more plan B kids this time around, or otherwise you can't go back-to-back years with 18-man recruiting classes. Look, last year's class, pretty good, all things considered, off a 5-7 season, but it's got to be more than 18 kids moving forward here. So there's got to be the happy medium somewhere around there. And also, too, it wouldn't hurt to start seeing development of these players here coming up. This will be Mel Tucker's, initial recruiting classes, second and third years on campus. So we're really going to get a good look of how well these kids have developed while they were here as well, which obviously is something that, Mark Dantonio was pretty good at. So that's another parallel you can make right there. We'll be back with more questions here, but first, hey, need to talk about our new friends, some more Bird Dog shorts, pants, whatever Bird Dog is selling. I'm buying now. I don't want to be over dramatic here. My life changed today when I, for the first time in my life, put on a pair of Bird Dog shorts. They are versatile. You could wear these things on the golf course. You could wear these things to a wedding, if you shall please. They are comfortable. They are lined with stretchy fabric, kind of like compression shorts on the inside, just the right amount of snugness. And hey, you know what? I feel and look great wearing these things. These are incredible. Around the clock, around the summer, and I'm talking fall to the winter, spring, I'm a shorts guy through and through. Barely wear sweatpants, and I usually just go for the cheap $8 pair of shorts on Amazon. Yeah, whatever, these will do the job. I slipped these bad boys on today. I told my wife, I've got stunning news. I'm never going back. By the way these feel, the way these look, and just how versatile they are. I'm a Bird Dog man through and through. And also, just like I mentioned at the beginning of this show, hey, when you go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, you enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege, you're going to get this free custom Yeti style Bird Dogs tumbler with every order. So go get yourself some Bird Dogs. And let's dive back into the mailbag here. This is from Spartan JJ. Cal Haladay seems to be continuously overlooked when our defense is discussed. How hard would you hammer Haladay plus 800 to lead MSU in tackles this coming year if you were a betting man? Spartan JJ, I think you know this by now. I am a betting man, and we did a lot of losing betting in the college basketball March Madness season. And that was after a lot of winning, though, in college football. I'm not a complete sucker gambler, but yes, I'm going to recoup my March Madness winnings by taking 8-1 odds on Cal Haladay being the leading tackler here. Second in the Big Ten in tackles with 120 last year. Kendall Brooks was the only other Spartan with 100 tackles. So there's going to be a lot of tackles coming from the safety position as well. That's never going to be a surprise to a lot of football teams. But Jacoby Windman might have something to say about that too. He had 49 tackles last year, but as we all remember, half that season that he played was at defensive end. That's going to be less tackles than a linebacker, more times than not, and will also miss the last 4 games of the year. So with him being the full-time linebacker, that's going to give Cal Haladay some serious competition. But man, if Cal Haladay does one thing right, it is always having his helmet on the ball when a play wraps up. I mean, this kid is sideline to sideline, great at stopping the run. So yeah, why he's overlooked though, maybe we just take him for granted, right? Because he's been here for 3 years and we could always just trust his reliability. We get caught up talking about the new flashy players like Tumisei Adelaide, for example, or, maybe guys that have left. But yeah, like Cal Haladay, mainstay here at Michigan State. And apologies if I've not talked about him enough. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be a strength of this year because we're going to have to see it from the linebackers. It was an okay year for them, pretty injury laden. But when you're having Jacoby Windman, Cal Haladay, Aaron Brule as a solid key returner this year as well, we'll see what we get with Darius Snow, if he's going to be even remotely close to 100% this year. But yeah, that's a good core 4 of your linebackers. Add in Jordan Hall, Ma'anau Teote. I mean, that brings up to 6 solid linebackers. So feeling good about the linebacker position this year in Cal Haladay. Obviously, big reason for that as well. Gavin writes in, what would Katin Houser have to achieve to be considered equal to or better than Connor Cook and Kirk Cousins? First and foremost, win that starting job. That's gonna be step 1 here for good old Katin Houser, friend of the program. Katin Houser. If you missed our interview with him last week on Friday, we chatted with him for a good 12 minutes. But no, you know what? No, nothing really crazy, Gavin, for him to reach the heights of that. Just win a Big Ten title. That's it. Go from a 5-7 team to leading your boys to a Big Ten title. But no, unfortunately, that's kind of going to have to be it here because that's what Cook has to his name. He has 2 of those, and Connor Cook and Kirk Cousins also getting Mark Dantonio's first Big Ten title here, but that's what it's going to have to be. And if not that, then let's say you're the starter for the next 3 years, go like 9-3 this year, 10-2 next year, and then like maybe 10-2 again, and like just missing out on the Big Ten title games, but also making Michigan State nationally prominent, some back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games, and then by that, the recruiting has seriously turned around for the better. You're having routine top 15 classes just because of the momentum that you built as a quarterback. So it's going to have to be a serious stretch of double-digit win seasons here, and that's a lot to put on one player. But hey, I mean, Kirk Cousins, he was that big figurehead. He was that big vocal captain that did it. Connor Cook, maybe not a vocal captain, but got it done on the field. So it's sorry to say it is going to have to be, at worst, just back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games, and at best, at least one Big Ten title. Lucas writes in, advice for a soon-to-be father. Why should I advice for a soon-to-be father. And on that note, why should I let my daughter root for MSU? Do I want to let her have my pain? First and foremost, hey, congratulations, Lucas. There we go. Welcome to the MSU Dad Squad. Advice, hey, really quick, just be that parent that takes way too many photos, way too many videos, because, hey, they're cuter than a button. It's great. But B, for my reasoning, holy smokes, it flies by. It's the biggest cliche in every parenting book of how fast it all flies by, but they ain't kidding. So document every single thing possible. Now, the more important question, of course, should they be Michigan State fans? Absolutely. I cannot think of a better way to learn about life's ups and downs than being a college sports fan. And Michigan State is a great program for that too, because look, it teaches you, hey, while life can have its rough patches, it can have its Red Box Bowl seasons, its Pinstripe Bowl seasons, maybe even a COVID season where you only win 2 games. Life hits you with those highs too, of the Peach Bowl season, or if you want to go back, the Rose Bowl season, the Cotton Bowl seasons, and vice versa too. Hey, you know what? Sometimes in life, you're going to feel pretty high. Like nothing can touch you whatsoever, but hey, you know what? You get grounded sometimes. You get grounded with those 3-9 seasons in 2016, for example. But hey, 2017, a little life moment can happen, and you go to a nice 10-win Holiday Bowl. Being a Michigan State fan has the perfect stride of ups and downs, and basketball is littered with the same thing. Ins and outs of Final Four seasons and just okay seasons, but no, it's great. And also, just being a college sports fan in general, it teaches you in life that, unfortunately, sometimes people can just be a loser in life. Take your Vanderbilt football, for example, if you want to go outside of the Big Ten. And hey, sometimes in life, too, on the complete opposite, there are going to be some people that you see in life that get every break and every advantage possible, and they are going to be very hard to knock down a few pegs, like your Alabamas or your Georgias, if you will. So being a college sports fan is just the greatest encapsulation of life that I could possibly think of. So, yeah, why leave her to, do something, nice with her life and, be a STEM person, if you will, healthy lifestyles. No, join us in the toxic lifestyle of being a college sports fan. So congratulations again, Lucas. You're the man. Love you, Lucas. Jer Bear. Oh, God, putting me on the job interview hot seat. You get to be hired for one job in MSU athletics ops or department. What one are you moving into? Keep in mind, you want the best for MSU, I assume. All right, so my mind immediately goes to, I'm going to work in the compliance office. And newsflash, everything is flying under the radar here. We are going to burn a bunch of documents. We're going to shred everything. I don't care what it is. We're letting it happen. And then Jer Bear reminds me, well, keep in mind you want what's best for MSU. And, well, hey, that could help us in the short term. Yeah, PR-wise, that might not be the best long-term, and I'd probably end up doing some time in prison. And I don't want that on my shoulders. So I'm just going to do the next best thing. I want those fan engagement roles, like the director of fan engagements or, somewhere in the fan engagement office, echo what the fan base is saying. Bring it to the athletic department, enhance the game days, enhance the tailgating, and just keep a pulse on the fan base, and then relay everything to the athletic department. I think that's where I'm best suited. I don't think I'd be great at social media because that means I'd have to work hard during game days. Like, who wants to do that? And I'd probably get so wrapped up in the games I'd forget to tweet and all that good stuff. I just, any other role I think would be a complete disaster for me. So yeah, give me the fan engagement role right there. How about that for a off the board answer? Cedar Village Bagel hits me with 4 rapid fire questions. Love this one. One food you wish Spartan Stadium had on game day. I got 3 answers for you. Pizza House, but only the deep dish. Like, I want this to be as messy of an experience as possible in the stands. I want to feel like I have to eat this thing in a bathroom stall. It's so messy, and I'm going to make such a fool of myself that I don't want anyone else to see. Also, number 2, Mena's or Conrad's. Imagine just a day of tailgating, you get into the stadium and there's a Mena's or a Conrad's right there. Now, I do know that this would mean that lines are 45 minutes long and you'd miss the entire first quarter, but and so be it. Mena's or Conrad's sound pretty good after some tailgates. And then there's this cool, like, liquid thing that, has calories, carbs, and all that stuff. It's made of hops, barley, water. It's called beer. Beer would be a really cool thing to have in Spartan Stadium as well. Again, like, it's a new age diet sort of thing. But yeah, I would like to have those 3 things. Number 2, favorite non-basketball, football, hockey, Spartan sport you wish was on prime time. Easy answer. It's volleyball. Got to cover it when I was at the State News a few decades ago, and that's when I truly started to really love volleyball. The most hype sport possible. There is a point every minute. You just can't keep your eyes off of it. And I just love the energy in the building in Jenison when the team is playing. And that goes across the Big Ten too, because the cherry on top of all this, there are some extraordinary Big Ten programs in volleyball. So yeah, volleyball is going to be my answer for that one. Least favorite former Spartan once they got to the pros. That's a tough one. I could put myself in a hard spot here. And you know what? We're not going to cower out of this question. We're going to answer this one. And I hope the Lakers win a title now. You know, they got a Spartan remaining there. Some did rub me the wrong way, though, about Christie only staying 1 year. And then the rumors that there was disgruntlement, if you will, if that's even a word, with how things were handled at Michigan State. Like, oh, you're upset that you had the longest leash of any freshman ever and you still got to play 30 minutes, even though you shot like 20% in conference play. And Tom Izzo always spoke highly of you. You're the one player in the program's history he never had a bad thing to say about. And like, now we're just going to act like, oh, we don't like them, we're leaving. Like, that left a weird taste in my mouth. But hey, with that said, Spartan dog for life. If you win the NBA title, that's right. Woo. All right. Yeah, Max Christie I just never really cared for. That was an underwhelming year last year, to say the least. And then to chase it with, we don't like it here. We're out of here. Okay, great. And then number 4, strongly defend a domestic light beer non-politically just for the memes. I can only assume you're talking about Bud Light, the hot domestic beer in the streets right now. And God, as a Miller Lite man through and through, I got to defend Bud Light. There is a spot for Bud Light in society, no question about it. Like, it is the easiest drinking beer possible. Like, and I mean this in the best way. Like, if you want a beer that closest resembles water, with like just like someone whispers the word beer into it, like that's Bud Light. And if you're out, on the lake, the campfire, a golf course, a funeral, what have you, if you're on a mission to crush as many alcoholic beverages as possible, Bud Light is probably going down the easiest of any of the options. So that's how I'll strongly defend it. There's a strong place for Bud Light in society. It's for if you want to absolutely annihilate some blue cans. Jackson writes in, with a new quarterback and what seems like 57 additions to the tight end room, is this the year we finally see a breakout tight end in Jay Johnson's offense? I want to correct you, Jackson. That's actually 58 tight end additions in this offseason. But no, like, Michigan State has the second most tight ends rostered in the Big Ten. I think they have like 12. Nebraska, I think they have more than 15 tight ends on their roster. Nebraska gets the number 1 spot here. But yeah, I think this is a prime year to see a breakout tight end candidate. And I think it's the guy that's been here for the longest, Malik Carr. And whether he gets the start, so to speak, putting air quotes around start, against Central or not, he's still going to split equal reps with, guys like Ty Neal Hopper, the Boise State tight end transfer. But Tyneil Hopper, just 13 catches on 416 snaps last year. He's more of the blocking tight end. Clearly, he can, flank out and be a receiving option, but Malik Carr is going to be your top receiving option this year. And I think with guys like Jaden Reed gone, guys like Keon Coleman gone, this isn't a situation where the quarterback can just say, well, okay, here comes the pressure. I'm going to just throw this ball up and pray to God either Coleman or Reed come down with it. Michigan State has a good receiver core this year. It's fine, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not the 50-50 jump ball gravity suckers that Jaden Reed and Keon Coleman were. So what's usually the best bailout then in an offense, especially with new quarterbacks, right? It's usually the tight end on those little 5-yard hitch routes or just sitting in the flats after a few checkdowns like that. That's where a lot of young quarterbacks seem to go. And yes, Noah Kim has been here for a while. Katin Houser a while too, but at the beginning of the year, everything's still getting situated with the offense. I could see Malik Carr, having a good start to the year. Last year, just 16 catches though, 201 yards. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd actually almost be a little disappointed if that wasn't at least doubled. Maybe close to 500 yards, which would be about 40 yards per game. That's asking a little bit from a tight end, but again, with this offense and the weapons that Michigan State has to replace, Malik Carr can easily slide up to that number 2 option in the passing game. Number 3 option in the passing game. And when you get that, eclipsing 30, 40 yards a game shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, Malik Carr does have to learn how to not slip on the ground after running for 8 yards. That'd be really helpful this year. I hope we can get this guy some cleats finally in his 3rd year here. But that'd be nice. But other guys like Jalen Franklin too, I don't expect too much from him. I think it's going to be more of a pass blocking guy. Redshirt freshman Jack Nickel, Michael Masunis. They could be interesting as well. But with Malik Carr just being the mainstay guy here in the tight end room, I could see it happening. I just think the new quarterback helping, the absence of some of the top weapons from last year are going to be a big, big difference maker. Really quick here, Chopman says grilling season is here. What is your favorite meat to grill? Get ready for a boring answer, everyone. Gear up for this one. It's just your old-fashioned, all-American hamburger. That's right. I just love a burger. Some chicken breast too. Love some of that, but I'm sorry. It's not like smoking ribs or throwing a giant T-bone steak on the grill. It's just a hamburger, grilled chicken. I'm really sorry about that. Your ego liked that question so much that he says, "What is the best type of meat? Rare, medium rare, overcooked, etc." It's medium. I do want a little bit of pink here, but I don't want so much pink where I feel like this thing is still mooing at me. And I did overcook my first burger of the year 3 weeks ago. I know it's 3 weeks ago because I haven't slept right in 3 weeks. I just had tears streaming down my face during that entire dinner. And I think my wife even said, you don't have to finish that. It's yeah, I do. This is my penance for being such a jackass on the grill. I have to finish this charcoal on a bun that I did, but we righted the ship quickly after that. So no, it's medium ideally. And also tenderloin or ribeye. I'm going to go sirloin. I've never had a bad experience with good old-fashioned sirloin. So there you have it. It's going to end this episode with some meaty questions right there. Again, guys, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below your questions. Reach out to me, Sheehan_sports on Twitter. Until then, hey, gang, we'll be doing some more mailbag questions. If we did not get to yours, odds are we will get to it either tomorrow or Friday. Keep it real. Love you all. Go Green.